Welcome to this session about how to configure a HeatMap symbolizer using GMedia Smart Client 2015. In the next couple of minutes we will create the symbolizer in Style Editor of GMedia Smart Client. Furthermore, there are some adjustments to do in Smart Client Administrator, and at the end we will have a look at the result in GMedia Smart Client itself. To create the HeatMap symbolizer in the Style Editor, we switch to GMedia Smart Client Administrator. Click here on New Library to create a library where the HeatMap symbolizer is stored. And because we want to use the Style Editor, we click from Editor. Then we have to name the style. We will name it HeatMap. E-training. And the symbology type has to be a HeatMap. And the Style Editor is opening up. As you can see in the preview area, this is our default HeatMap symbolizer when you start Style Editor. To edit some options of the HeatMap, we have to click here on the symbolizer itself. Because we have a point symbolizer for our HeatMap, I don't have to set the geometry function. If you have area geometry and you want to use the HeatMap for this feature, then you have to set the geometry functions to one of these options here. You can also define the radius of the circles, and there is this checkbox named weighting threshold. This means if you don't check it, so the threshold is disabled, every single point in the HeatMap is looking like this one. But if you have enabled the threshold and you type in here, for example, 10, then the hottest point, which is defined with this color, is only available if there are more than 10 points or equal 10 points on the same place. You can also choose different colors if you're not satisfied with these 5 ones. So we change every single color of this. So just click on the color picker, go to the RGB tab here, and we've defined some color codes here. This one is the lowest one. Then the second one is this color code. The color codes can also be found on our online documentation. So have a look there to get this. And the last one, so the hottest point will have this color code, dark red. So we are satisfied with these 5 gradient stops. You can also add some, or if you are satisfied with 3 or 4 of the gradient stops, you can also delete it here. What is also possible, but we don't use it here, is to use database values on the one hand for the color and on the other hand for the offset. So just click save, and the style is saved in the library eTraining as HeatMap _eTraining. So we want to use the HeatMap symbolizer on one of our features. So I have to add a new feature, input from database, connect to my database where the features are stored. Click on load features, and this is the feature I want to use for my heat map. Assign it and import it. So here is the newly added feature. Click on it so you get to the feature form. And what's the most important thing in this feature form is that you have to switch the interpretation from default to heat map. Okay. And to switch the type to point. In this case, I have already a point feature, but as I mentioned earlier, if you want to use the heat map for area geometries, you have to switch here the type to point and define a geometry function within the heat map symbolizer in the style editor. I'll switch to the tab symbols. There is my default point. I have to edit the display rule, set the library to my eTraining library and to my symbology. Click on save. Then you have to assign it to the legend so you can see it in the smart client afterwards. I have already created a theme named HeatMap, assigned a point feature to this theme, and in the feature rights I have also to set the right to visualize for my heat map. Click on save, and now we will start smart client and have a look how the heat map is looking there. So I've already started GMedia Smart Client. I visualized the Bing maps with roads with an opacity of 60%. And now I'll switch to my theme, heat map, and double click on the feature fire history _P. So this is the result of the heat map in GMedia Smart Client. It is also possible to use the heat map in public maps. This was the session about how to create a heat map symbolizer with the help of Smart Client Style Editor and how to display it in Smart Client itself. Hope you enjoyed the session and thanks for your attention.